And welcome back to the vlog, everyone. Critter Kyle here for another vlog at you. Okay, in this vlog, I am going to be talking about what you should do if you are new at getting a reptile. If you're planning to be a first-time reptile owner, these are going to be the steps that I would take to get everything sorted. So let's get into it. First, the biggest thing that you should do your research. Tons of research. And I don't mean just find one website and go off of that information. There is so much misinformation out there. Get multiple sources. Personally, I not only look up multiple websites, Facebook groups are a huge helpful for me. And again, don't just join one, join a couple or a few and see what everyone's saying and what multiple people seem to be saying from each group. That's probably what I'm going to go with as far as what I'm going to do for my animal. So, another thing with that in mind is people who do not know reptiles, specifically people who think, say, getting a corn snake versus getting a ball python is going to be the exact same care, and that is absolutely false. If you want to get a snake, for example, what species do you want? Do your research on a specific species of snake or lizard or whatever it is that you are interested in getting. And also another thing that keep in mind with that, look at size it gets, how much you can accommodate in its enclosure, how big of an enclosure you can accommodate it for. Are you, where the environment you're living in, do you live, are you living somewhere where it's really hot but not so much humid? If you're keeping an animal that requires more humidity, you might need to make some added modifications there, such as substrate and other things you can do to up the humidity. And or vice versa, if you're somewhere where it's humid and you can probably get away with using, for example, more like a less humid substrate like aspen bedding or something. So that's a huge factor in housing, building your enclosure, what seasons are you have, how cold does it get, how hot does it get. If you want to build an outdoor enclosure, you have to be for the right seasons, because where I live in New England, in New Hampshire, I would say an outdoor enclosure would only be used for 3 months. However, I do not have a space or a yard, for that matter, at all where I live. Now, I live in an apartment building on the 2nd floor. So getting a larger animal for me is not, personally for me, is not a good idea, because I cannot provide the space that an animal may need. So I'm sticking with the smaller species that I know I do not need all of the space requirements for. Please do not, and I mean this to no one specifically who works at a pet store, but do not listen to your local pet store's advice, because most likely 9 out of 10 they're going to be trying to sell you not only a bunch of crap from outdated information that isn't correct anymore. They'll sell you stuff that is overpriced, tell you stuff that you don't need, and some of the stuff that they're selling you may actually hurt or kill your animal. So like I said with the research, watch out, do not rely on what a pet store says. Personally, I stay away from pet stores as much as I can. I buy everything online from people that I know I can trust. Uh, if I can't get a product right from the place it's manufactured, I get whatever product I'm looking for, usually off of Amazon. So that's what I'm going to say. So another thing I'm going to say with that is always, before you get animal, always set up your enclosure first. Do not, on a whim, just get an animal and take on an animal and think you can care for it when you do not know shit about it, nor do you have a place to keep it yet. I know so many people who just take in animals and not realize that they do not have what it needs, what they need to give it proper care. And that's one of the things that absolutely drives me bonkers is people who do that. People who just take in animals without knowing anything about the animal itself for that much. So back to what I said about the weather where you live at. That's going to indicate substrate and how you set up the enclosure, lighting, UVB lighting, and stuff like that. Obviously, if you want a bioactive enclosure, you need a lot more to keep if you have live plants. And so decide if you want a bioactive enclosure. They're really great for have on display with whatever animal you're getting, like a tree frog or a gecko or something nice and arboreal. Again, the weather where you live in will help you determine what you need for your substrate, and you may also get something in the beginning that may not work, and you might end up switching to something else later. That is okay. We trial and error. If you get something and you notice it's not, doing its job that it needs to, please make changes that need to be made. If you started off with the wrong substrate or something, do not put yourself down. Do not blame yourself. A lot about keeping animals is trial and error, and what may work for someone else may not always work for you, or vice versa, because everyone's animal is different. Everyone's situation is a little different, maybe where they live and all that, and so on. So make sure you, again, back to what I was saying in the beginning, specific species. Just because it's a snake doesn't mean it's going to have the same requirements as this other snake species. Same thing with lizards, so on and so forth, everything. Do your research on a specific species to make sure you are setting up its enclosure correctly. And making sure it's big enough. And also, if you're getting like a small hatchling snake or whatever, A bigger space may stress it out. Uh, Specifically ball pythons. It's a very common occurrence. People get ball pythons and they put them in these big, huge tanks. For one, ball pythons like smaller spaces, and a huge tank is going to stress it out. I am going to make another specific video on ball python care, so you can look out for that in the future. So I'm not going to get too much into ball python specifically on that, but that was just an example that I was saying. If you hit, let's say, a corn snake, right, is a little bit different than a ball python, because you could get away with something a little bit bigger if you give it enough places to hide, enough plant foliage and stuff. It may be great and work out great for the animal. However, you know, it's also possible that the same thing could happen like a ball python. That specific animal could also end up feeling more stressed out in a bigger tank enclosure or whatever. So not every specific animal is going to be the same. If you have this corn snake and this other corn snake, just because they're corn snakes, their behavior isn't always going to be the same. So get to know your animal, get to know what your animal likes and what your animal doesn't like. Obviously, when you're new to getting an animal, it obviously takes time, trial and error to get to know all these things. The last, I think this is the last thing that I can think of, a lot of people put too much trust into their dogs or cats around their other animals, and that's just an accident waiting to happen. It doesn't matter how much you trust your pet dog or cat. You cannot put that trust in an animal like that around your other animals, how they're going to treat other animals. Always keep your dogs and cats and your reptiles separated from each other. Make sure they cannot come in contact with each other. That is just an accident waiting to happen for your reptile. It might get severely injured, or vice versa, depending on what it is you're keeping. So yeah, that concludes what I wanted to say. So here's my new tarantula that I got. This is the best glimpse I've gotten of him or her so far, because he's been pretty much sticking behind this piece of cork bark that you see I have here. So I already did a number, poop all over the enclosure, but I obviously missed seeing him, her out wandering about. But this is how she's doing so far. Settling in well, I'd say, with all the poop. So, hell yeah. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you have given me so far. I apologize if this video was, I don't know, I didn't really show too much. I didn't really show my animals, but it was more of an educational, I guess, a video for you guys. Hope you guys didn't mind that I took a break from showing my animals to put up some good information, only because I love you guys and I want to take care of you guys, and I want your reptiles to be happy along with you guys. So I will see you guys in the next vlog. If you like what you see, don't be ashamed to like, subscribe, definitely share my videos with your friends if you like what you see. I appreciate that so much. Once again, thank you everyone who has recently given a like, subscribed, just watched the video, whatever. Thank you so much. You guys have mean the world to me. So without further ado, I will see you in the next vlog.